We'll get in touch with them, ma'am, to see if they could assist.
All right. Honorable members, it's 8:31. This meeting is officially open. Do we have apologies? Dr. Kaso, do you have apologies?
From my side, ma'am, I've received none at this point.
Okay. Morning, Dr. Singh. Honorable members, is there any apology that we need to note? Okay.
Honorable Speaker, the apologies of Honorable Ngwezi.
Honorable Ngwezi's apology is noted.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Seems that is the only apology we have this morning. Let's go on to item number 2. Let's consider the agenda. Can I hear anybody calling for the adoption of the agenda?
I move for the adoption.
That is Leboga. Is there a seconder for that? Mdade Lichisa says we are second. Thank you, honorable members. I put before you then the minutes of the 2nd of July. I take it that the minutes were received and read. Is there any correction you wish to make on the first page? You're going too fast, whoever it is. Is there anything you wish to correct on page 1? Page 2? Page 3? Page 4? Page 5? And the last page, 6. I take it that the minutes reflect what we discussed about on the 2nd of July, members. Can we proceed to matters arising? And anybody calling for adoption?
Natasha calls for adoption.
Thank you, Memazon. Seconded by me.
Yes, I second.
Look like an Aline in that mask.
Speaker, there was a stranger in the house.
Honorable members, we are at matters arising. Any member? Matters arising.
Speaker.
Yes, ma'am, please.
Morning, Speaker, and good morning, colleagues. Speaker, on page 4, on the issue of bills, I'm not sure if it's going to be covered. Mr. Kaso will guide if it's going to be covered with the bills. The bills that you were going to follow up on in terms of gender-based violence, which the Deputy Minister alleged that they had been in front of Parliament. The bills that seek to address the issues of GBV, not the general criminal law bills that were in front of justice. Can we get a follow-up status on that? And this so informed by the information we received yesterday in the Chief Whip's Forum from Member Papo, that the cabinet had submitted bills to your office, and there's a certain date you said you'll get back to them. Please highlight us, ma'am.
Okay. Mr. Kaso, do we get into this, or do we have a report on it?
Ma'am, I think we can deal with it at this point. The Bills Office is constantly in touch with the Office of the State Law Advisor. There is no new bill that has been submitted. The list was submitted to Parliament with dates that are indicated. Some of them indicated that they would come through by the end of July. No new bill has come into the system since then. But when we get to the bills office will be able to indicate if there's any additional information other than what I'm saying at this point in time. So there's no bill that is new on the issue of GBV that is in the system at this point in time. Thanks.
Thank you. Memente, I think we'll take the discussion further in when Tate Bell gives us. And Tate Ntombela, your hand is up. Tate Ntombela, you are muted.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Madam Speaker, this is more of a concern than anything. It's in regard to the issue of the disabilities, the disabled who seem to have been overlooked during the participation in Parliament. I'm just saying.
Are you stepping off the discussion, Tate Ntombela, of the matter raised by? You are bringing in a new matter arising.
Or I was bringing a new matter arising, and unless it's
proceeding.
Can I proceed?
Yes.
Yes, I was saying the matter of the disabled youth. It's I equate it to the matter of the GBV. It has been with us for a very, very long time. It's a matter that does not really need any emphasis. So it becomes very unfortunate that even up to now, they still get overlooked when it is not necessary. I'm just emphasizing the point that it should not happen. It has been a presidential concern for quite a long time. I don't think that we should be having a problem of this nature. It's just but throwing caution to the wind, Chairperson. That's all. Thank you very much.
No, thank you very much. The Minister, Nkwana Mashapane, has a direct responsibility also on disability. This concern you are raising, Tate Ntombela, must go straight there, because on a responsibility of youth and people with disabilities. So this matter should not be following within any cracks, because there is a specific executive responsible. So what Parliament can do is pick up on issues, for instance, which can be brought to the Minister's attention, can follow up, and if Parliament so chooses to have a special focus on youth and disability, we can do so. But always remembering that there is a specific executive member responsible. But thank you for bringing it up. We shouldn't do so, because even now with the school debacle, we are all discussing. The special schools are not a special focus on this issue here, coronavirus. And we need to maybe take what you are saying, Tate Ntombela, and consistently follow up on all sectors of communities. Ke a leboga ntate for you raising this matter. Is there any other matter arising, honorable members?
Speaker?
Chief Whip, Ntate Swarton, Mem Kalipe, in that order. Okay, I'm sorry that I see you. Mema Jodina?
Kinna.
Go ahead.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Trying to follow up on what you have just said now. How I wish that we could task Mr. Tasso and the team to look at the role of the multi-party women's caucus, which mainly deals with issues of women. We have youth in Parliament who are parliamentarians. Are we also intending to have a multi-party youth caucus? I'm asking that reason, that question, Speaker, and making that recommendation because of what you have just said, that there is a department that is responsible for women, children, youth, etc. then what then becomes the committees that we establish in Parliament, like the Women's Caucus? Should we go ahead in establishing the youth sector, which is because we do have young parliamentarians? I don't want us to debate it now. I'm just flagging it to check the possibilities so that we don't overstep the mandate of a portfolio committee. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for raising that. We will respond. Dr. Swart?
Thank you, Speaker, and good morning to you and to the colleagues. Just to follow up what Harsha and Tombela mentioned, the previous Parliament passed a unanimous resolution that sign language should be added as one of the official languages by a constitutional amendment. And Speaker, possibly we could follow that up with the executive to see what has been happening in that regard. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you. Mayor Mkalipi?
Thank you very much, Speaker. On the follow-up on what the Chief Whip of the ANC is raising, without discussing this matter here, but I think that the Speaker must also have this into her table to look at it. Yesterday, Speaker, we got messages that says that the Women's Charter Sector Review Session with women occupying senior position in public and private sectors is taking place on the 15th of July, which is yesterday, and it started at 3 p.m. So you will know, Speaker, that even our plenary was starting on the very same time. So I'm saying, Speaker, the issue of women in Parliament must be taken serious, because as women who also in part and parcel of Parliament, we like to participate, but if there will be program that will be parallel to the plenary, it means that you are not going to participate. So I'm raising this concern, Speaker, to say, please look at the matter in order to avoid these things to take place in future. However, Speaker, I have two issues as matters are raising. The one is about from 152 KwaZulu-Natal, the petition. I don't know if it should be covered on the committee section. And the other one is the EFF debates that the Speaker has approved. Although in the Chiefs Forum, we got a report from Mabukaso, but I just want to get an official report where this matter will be scheduled. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you very much. Ndate Singh?
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker. My matter is also arising from the matters of urgent national importance, and thank you to your office and to yourself for agreeing to our debate. But I noted yesterday in the Chief Whip's Forum that these debates will be scheduled in the third term. We accept that, because if there are any urgent issues, we will raise them during the education debate in the mini plenaries. But we still look forward to scheduling of these matters in the third term. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ndate Singh. Ndate Kaso, do you want to come in?
Madam Speaker, Natasha also had her hand up.
A
question. I'm sorry. Madam Speaker, I was just wondering if we could please have a report back from you regarding the status of the committee for the looking into the viability of the public protector to hold office. Just if we could have an update from you as to where we are with regards to that particular committee that must be established. Thank you very much, Speaker.
Thank you. Thank you. And Dr. Kaso, do you want to come in those matters you can deal with? Kaso, you are muted.
My apologies, Madam Speaker and members. Let me start with the debates. The debates that have been approved by the Speaker will be scheduled for August, when we come back from the constituency period. In relation to the petition by Honourable Mkalipi, the matter is currently before COCTA. Committee section was going to reflect on that, but it's before COCTA, and necessary follow-up is being done to ensure that the petition is indeed considered by the committee. The last one relates to the panel on the public protector. As honourable members would know, Speaker had asked parties to make submissions in terms of who could be nominated to serve on that 3-member panel. And submissions were indeed received from parties. And the Speaker has been in the process of approaching potential panelists. And potential panelists were indeed approached. And but out of the number that was approached, only one was able to indicate availability to serve. Speaker is now engaged in the process of approaching another set of panelists. So up to now, there have been about 4 declines. Speaker is now in the process of approaching another set of panelists out of the names that were submitted by the parties. So the matter is ongoing, and as soon as the 3 panelists have confirmed availability to serve on the panel, a statement will be made by the Office of the Speaker. Thank you.
Thank you. We must also emphasize that the declines did give, and the reasons they gave were some of those that we had not been aware of. Sometimes they cited that possibilities of conflict would come in where they to serve. So all the reasons given to us were open and we think very honest. And so, as Ndate also says, we are re-looking at a second round of approaching people. If we do not get right, I think we will not be ashamed to come back to parties and say, can you resubmit different names so that this matter can start? On the issue that was put by both Mem Kalipi and the Chief Whip of the Majority Party, the Multi-Party Committee of Women, that caucus was started very early. In 94, 95, it catered for a specific need which we had as women in Parliament. It brought us as women together because remember we had a non-political NGO which was at the forefront of the Women's Charter in South Africa, which brought on. And we felt that we wanted to continue with this. But as we were enacting laws, all women across parties felt that we needed sometimes to stand as women. And specifically, the women were the most vulnerable still, and they still are in society in South Africa. But also, there was no specific minister for women. We had opted for the CGE rather than have a minister because there are a number of reasons I could give. Now, that multi-party women's caucus served to strengthen the voice of women and also to be a lobbying tool for women, but also to be the go-to structure in Parliament when issues of women needed to be confronted. On the other hand, even though at that time many of us were still falling into the category of youth, there was no specific identification of young parliamentarians coming together because across Africa and the world, parliamentarians were really old. This need is now growing because more and more parliamentarians are younger, are people under 40, 40s, and therefore there is a need for us to consider having a structure like this. Now, when it comes to where we have something that I think we must openly discuss as South Africa is, you had a go-to structure, the multi-party women's caucus. It even would meet to look at any legislation or any regulation affecting women. Now you've got a portfolio committee that is directly responsible for women. So we need to discuss this matter. Because across the continent also, there was no minister for women. This adoption of the multi-party caucus for women then became a structure, for instance, at SADC, where the leader of the Women's Caucus would then be part of the delegation to SADC. And now the question is, we are busy in SADC with a model law that looks at GBV. And the representative at SADC level is the chairperson of the Multi-Women's Caucus, and not the Portfolio Committee of Women, who deals directly with legislation pertaining to women. So we do need to have a discussion which will be frank. As to this thing which the honorable members say happened, where members are informed that there is a parliament on women and so on and so forth, I do think that we must acknowledge that, firstly, it couldn't have been scheduled to coincide or to clash with a sitting of parliament. That would be out of order. It couldn't have happened outside both the multi-party caucus and the portfolio committee, because even though sectoral parliaments are still continuing, my argument, and I know I'm the lone voice on this, Chief Whip of the majority party, if you do have a portfolio committee, if you do have an executive member, surely you must hold that executive member to account on the issues that fall within their portfolio. You cannot therefore go extra parliamentary, because the sectoral parliaments were meant to look at those issues which fall in between, where you do not have a particular executive member that you can actually pin on. And therefore, I think we must go back to relooking at these issues. It's sectoral parliaments. And I'm not saying we must be very rigid. For instance, I do not see any problem if we have a sectoral parliament on women in mining, which would then pull together. But we cannot then have such a sectoral committee, a parliament, without pulling in the portfolios that are responsible. In this case, you would bring in women, you would bring in mining, you would bring in youth, because mostly they are the people who have the energy to go in there. So I'm saying I would like us to have a full-blasted discussion on these matters so that we sort out. We must find a way of having young parliamentarians at the IPU. They insist. And we can't continue going as the old crocs to issues which want young parliamentarians to take with. We need to give them their space. But we must also, I'm saying we don't just form structures and leave them there. We form structures, they are properly mandated. We know where the boundaries, what we can do, what we can't do, we resource, and so that whole discussion has to be gotten into very fast. And in that way, I would say, yes, let's go to that. Ndate Swart is right. There was a decision taken. We have been asking for this decision. And I think maybe we are asking too much on sign language. We need to make a very simple amendment of the Constitution instead of just identifying all that. We need to go to the Constitution and make sign language an official language, because it is not just a nice to have. People are dying there because they are not being attended, because at facilities, people don't understand them. They don't even want to treat them. So it is a real need. And I think that it is high time that we put some speed on this matter. On the bills, I think Mem Kalipe, Mem Azoni, you've been answered. We do not know what new bills have come specific to GBV. If we do have, we would have made sure that all of us know. So far, we will follow up again. Is there any other matter arising, honorable members? Yes,
Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, on the sectoral work, I want to suggest that if there are programs, can they be programmatized in our parliamentary programs so as to avoid this ambush that Honorable Khalid is referring to? If there are going to be engagements, sectoral meetings, seminars that needs us as members of parliament, let them be put on the program of parliament, so that when we plan, we must plan around those dates, knowing very well what is going to happen, because it was just uncalled for to be ambushed yesterday for us to attend the review. Thank you.
I agree. Let us have that in the program. In fact, I come from the old school, Mema Judina, you know. If I do not have it on a budget line, if it is not on the program, it cannot be done.
Exactly.
When you deal with public purse, you need to be as strict as that. So we will appeal to both the deputy speaker and the deputy chairperson who have the responsibilities to come with us so that we have this discussion, iron matters up, clear things, so that we can then proceed to do what we need to do. Is there any other matter? None? None? Can we step off from matters arising, honorable members?
Yes.
We are stepping off from matters arising. If we agree, we have a committee section, please? Committee section, are you ready?
Yes, Madam Speaker. Good morning, Honorable Madam Speaker, honorable members and colleagues. We are ready. The presentation will start from slide number 6 with your permission, Honorable Madam Speaker.
So
On this slide, thank you. On this slide, it is about the ad hoc committee on section 25. We are reporting that after the revival of the committee, we are ready for the committees to schedule the first meeting and then chart a way forward. The next update is on slide number 13. The matter here is Prevention of Hate Crime and Hate Speech Bill before PC on Correctional Services, on Justice and Correctional Services. The committee is awaiting Constitutional Court judgment on hate speech to continue with the deliberations. The next update is slide number 17. It is the upgrading of Lanternia Amendment Bill before PC on Agriculture, Land Reform and Rural Development. On this slide, we are indicating the various activities the committee has scheduled with the aim to finalize the bill on the 1st of September. The next update is on slide number 19. It is the Local Government Municipal Systems Amendment Bill before PC on COCTA. The committee had further deliberations on the 14th of July. It's still to schedule other activities. The next update is on slide number 31. On this slide, we just want to report, Madam Speaker, that the Division of Revenue Amendment Bill has been finalized by the Standing Committee on Appropriations. The next update is on slide number 36. Other matters, it is the determination of salaries for commissioners of IEC. The matter is before PC on Home Affairs. The committee is planning to deliberate and adopt the report on the 21st of July. The next update is on slide number 37. It is statutory appointment, the executive director for IPIT before PC on Police. The committee is planned to deliberate and adopt the report on the 15th. The next update is on slide number 39. It is also a matter before the Standing Committee on Auditor General, the determination of the salaries for the Auditor General. The committee is planning to consider the matter on the 17th of July. The next update is on slide number 41. It is also a determination of salaries for ICASA councillors before PC on communications. The committee adopted the report on the 14th, so the matter is finalized. The next update is on slide number 43. It is the statutory appointment before PC on communications. that is MDDA board. The committee finalized and adopted the report on the 14th. The next update is on slide number 49. It is petitions. The committee was to adopt the report on the 15th, that was yesterday. I have been informed that the committee is planning to adopt the report today. The next update is on slide number 50. It was also a petition before COCTA. The committee was supposed to finalize the matter yesterday. The committee, I'm informed, is planning to do that today. The next update is on slide number 51. It is also a petition before PC on COCTA. The same explanation, the committee is planning to finalize the matter today. The next update is on slide number 52. I think the matter has been raised earlier on. It's about Ward 52 in KwaZulu-Natal before COCTA. The matter is before the committee. The committee is still to schedule. And the next update is on slide number 55. It is a petition before PC on human settlements, water and sanitation. The committee will prioritize the matter during the third term. This concludes our presentation. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Honorable members, the floor is open.
Honorable Speaker?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Let's welcome this presentation of the report from the Section Committee. Honorable Speaker, I just want to check on three Chapter 9 institutions. No, it's 4. It's IEC, AG, CGE, and ICASA. ICASA is not section, it's not Chapter 9, but it's about remuneration. I'm not trying to be insensitive of what is supposed to happen, Speaker, if I could be understood in that. But in the middle of this fiscal cliff and challenge that we are in, is it proper now that we discuss remuneration of certain Chapter 9 institutions? What informs that? Is it because these were the matters that have been long outstanding, hence they are being raised now? That's one. Two, I raised the matter of petitions in the previous meeting to say we have bulk of petitions that are sent to Parliament, and my question was, what is the paper trail of these petitions? Has the petitioners done enough to an extent where they are saying all the levels that we're supposed to report and those levels that we're supposed to respond to us have not done so? So this is our last appeal as Parliament, because I'm raising that because the mayor of Ekurhuleni last time was saying, but these people did not even come to us. We saw these petitions in Parliament. They did not exhaust the all other levels before Parliament. So I'm just trying to check if there is a document that says we receive and attend to petitions having been satisfied that it went through all channels, because Parliament is supposed to be the last option when all has been exhausted. So I just want to be empowered on that, Speaker. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Yes, Speaker.
Yes,
thank you. Thank you very much, Speaker. If you remember, Speaker, I also raised this very similar issue here in regards to petitions, whereby at one point COCTA committee was made to discuss the astrays of cows. And I raise it in a context that we ask the office of the Speaker, whereby they receive such petitions, to process it before it goes to COGTA, because the COGTA Parliament PC was made to discuss the unbehavior of cows, while we have so many issues that needs to be processed, Speaker. And therefore, we didn't make a follow-up on that matter. How are we going to make sure that before we take some petition issues to COGTA, it must be processed? You must see from your office that this matter can go back and being discussed at a lower level before it's allocated to a committee. So therefore, I also suggest that maybe the committee that receive petitions, they must also do something before they just allocate those petitions to relevant committees. That's one. I just want to get a clarity, Speaker, on the local government municipal systems amendment bills. It's reported that it's in the COGTA committee, which is true. But I just want to check with the bill section if they are aware that when we're dealing with the matter on the 14th of July, we were so surprised the DG of the department wanted to withdraw the bill. And you remember, Speaker, this bill was as a result of the court's decision. But we were supposed to deal with socio-economic impact assessment system sign-off certificate. But we received a letter that says that the department wants to withdraw this bill. And as the COGTA portfolio committee wanted to know reasons. And one of the reasons is that the department wanted to go and consult cabinet. Fortunately, the minister was present at the meeting. We said, no, minister, you must also elaborate to us because we are here. What sort of consultation? Because now is the work of parliament that was supposed to take place. And the minister said, no, the DG is mistaken, so she must withdraw the letter. So there was a lot of confusion. So I'm saying I'm raising this thing with the bill section if they are aware, and also it must be corrected because we're supposed to do and to deal with that bill long time ago. Thank you, Speaker.
Ndate Singh, your hand is up.
Yes, thank you very much, Honourable Speaker. Just on two issues. One is the question of the remuneration. I can recall that last week we received, well, when I say we, it's a committee on the Standing Committee in the Auditor General, received communication from yourself and the Office of the President, where the Office of the President was recommending certain salary increases or adjustments to these Chapter 9 institution participants. And we considered that. So I think for now, I mean, that's how these adjustments happen. It goes to the Office of the President, to downwards or upward adjustment. Well, generally it's downward because even with our own remuneration, it was downward. And then we express an opinion as a committee, and then it goes to yourself. So I think that matter is being handled at that level. On the question of petitions, unfortunately, my view, Honourable Speaker, is that petitions are a mechanism for members of the public to use currently. And they use it by sending these petitions via members of parliament to national parliament. We can then deal with it from there. And I don't think it's for the Office of the Speaker, to deal with the content of the petition. But I think what you are doing is correct. Refer it to the respective committee, and then they can liaise with the mayor or whoever else. But we cannot stop members of the public exercising their right to submit petitions in the manner that is provided for in our rules and constitution. Thank you.
Madam Speaker.
Before you do, Ndate, did you want to speak?
Yes, please, Speaker. Thank you.
Yes,
Just on the issue related to the salaries of the Auditor General, we in the Justice Committee did the same with the Public Protector and the Human Rights Commission. This follows the Act that was passed, the Determination of Remuneration of Office Bearers on Independent Constitutional Institutions bill that came into operation on the 1st of April 2019. Then the Independent Commission makes a recommendation, as Honourable Singh pointed out, to the President. The President then, in the case of the Public Protector and SA Human Rights Commission, did not accept their recommendation because of the fiscal constraints. And I think the same is applying now with the Auditor General. So it is a normal process in terms of that legislation. Thank you.
Thank you. Ndate Chisa?
No, Madam Speaker, I was going to protest against you for not protecting cows when Honorable Sengiwe Mkhalipi talks bad about it. But I withdraw. I'm okay.
Order,
Yes,
Speaker. Order,
Speaker,
Speaker.
I
No,
want
no.
to say
Ma'am Kolipi, you did say the cows were misbehaving.
The agenda.
No, but the head of those cows is Deputy Speaker. Deputy Speaker knows those cows.
Date Kwasolin, Date Tau, you have the floor.
Yes, Madam Speaker, I think.
Speaker, I wanted to say something before the response.
Okay, Date Papo. I didn't see your hand.
Uh,
Date Papo, you've
I
got the
wanted
floor.
to say Member Mkalipi is somewhere right. When a member brings a petition from a member of the community, and that MP knows in the province or in the municipality they have a petition system, it creates all sorts of complications because many of these metros, they have a petition. Many of the legislatures have a petition system and a committee. And then a member brings it directly here. It's processed by COCTA without any process having started in the province. I think there should be some form of a consideration without blocking, because otherwise then petitions becomes a political platform where we just want to show each other up. I bring a petition about a municipality run by an opposing party. We bring it here, and then we don't actually follow the procedure. And that's what the chief whip was saying, that even MPs themselves should assist members of the public to lodge, because they come through PCOs and so on, to lodge those petitions with the municipality if they don't have, at least with the legislature. And if there are problems, then it can come to national. In that way, what Member Mkalipi is saying, we don't have a situation where something just jump municipality, province, shoot straight to the province. So I'm just, for me, that is the issue. It's not about cows, which go through the road and so on. It's more about the efficacy of our system and why do we create it. When people have not even processed, they come here. It's one thing when they've tried at the local, they've tried in the province and nothing happens, and then they require the assistance of the minister. I mean, sorry, of the NA or the NCOP.
Thank you. Date Frolik?
No, good morning, Honourable Speaker. Good morning, Honourable Members. Honourable Speaker, in the oversight model, there is a specific section that deals with petitions and the processing thereof. I think we must just do more work at the clearing stage before it is sent through to the relevant portfolio committee, so that they are properly empowered to know what processes was followed by the petitioner. We cannot stop people from bringing petitions to Parliament. We must take the responsibility of processing those petitions and also assisting the relevant committees before it is sent to them, so that they can make an informed decision. I also want to add, Speaker, apologies. I also want to add that we usually see a surge in the number of petitions from local municipalities and metros on the eve of the local government elections. And as an institution, we must also guard that the instrument, very important instrument and tool for the public to voice their concerns, petitions, are not abused for other reasons and to jump the relevant processes that needs to be followed at the local government level as well.
I also had Ndate Ntombela.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Madam Speaker.
While we are talking about the petition, the presentation on the petitions is quite elaborate, but my issue is on the capturing on the minutes of the petitions. I wanted to suggest that as the minutes are captured, there should be a brief on the petition that say when the minutes are captured, we say the petition say on the menace of the rat in a particular area, rather than just saying petition, just for ease of reference, understanding and clarity as we go through the minutes. I so suggest, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, sir. Ndate Mchisa, you are back. Ndate Mchisa.
Thank you very much. Thank you. No, I agree with the azikho inkomo eBlackers le Chesterfield. Madam Speaker, the issue is also to involve our public education section. Honorable Frolik is correct that we have the system for processing petitions, but in general, the public, it must be our responsibility to communicate with the public in the event they do not have joy in one area or another. This is the process to follow. Amongst the institutions that support democracy, for example, they called some of this process called forum shopping. In other words, there are people who choose to decide which structure to go to, and they literally go there with their various complaints and so on. So it then behoves the Chapter 9 institution itself to say, this one is not ours, please handle it. We will report to them that we've sent it to you, something of that nature. Because there's an element of abuse there by others, but people generally do want their problem solved, and they'll want a process that they know about. So it's our task. We must take responsibility through the public education section of Parliament to continuously communicate the education about the processes of how we prefer people to do, why these structures have been set in motion that should deal with those issues, both in I think, as Comrade Papo says, in the provinces as well as inside municipalities. We do, however, indicate that we should always obviously be indicating that Parliament has a responsibility to accept and receive anything from anybody if it serves their interests. However, there's a process that must be followed, which must satisfy certain hoops. It's just the nature of political work that requires of us to undertake the education process ourselves, so that in a greater number of instances, people do so from an informed basis. Thanks, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Ndate Tau, Ndate Kasu.
Madam Speaker, I think let me deal with both issues. I think the issue of salaries of the office bearers in constitutional institutions has been dealt with. Parliament is simple implementing the law. The recommendations initially came from the public office, the commission, to the president, and the president has submitted those recommendations to Parliament, and Parliament must do what it is required to do in terms of the law, to agree or not to agree. 2 weeks ago, Parliament approved the recommendations in relation to the public protector, and I think the Human Rights Commission, and the ones that were mentioned by the Chief Whip must still come before the House for consideration by the House. Now, on the matter of petitions, Madam Speaker, when petitions or submissions come into the system, they are indeed assessed, evaluated, and where possible, they are referred back or referred to departments, government departments, and of course to committees of Parliament. But I must admit that what is lacking at the moment is what Rule 334 of the NA Rules says, that there must be guidelines determined by the Rules Committee in terms of how petitions are processed, just to clarify the process. And Madam Speaker, since this matter was raised, I've since commenced a process of developing proposed guidelines that will come before the Rules Committee for consideration, so that we can clarify this process and that there is no confusion. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you very much. Ndate Tau, is there still anything you wish to respond to, Brad?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I just want to indicate on the date of referral of the salary determination, it is the 8th of April. I think the Honorable Chief Whip of the Majority Party asked that. And in addition to what Mr. Kaswe said, is just to say to honorable members that the issue of salary determination was received from the President as one submission, which means if the one entity is approved, that would create a precedence. that is what I just wanted to bring to the members, that the approach to all this salary determination, because they came as one submission, whatever approach need to be applicable on all of them if one is to advise. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Members,
Speaker?
Yes, Ma'am Kalipi.
There's no comment on local government municipal system.
Local government.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Speaker. I had a discussion with the unit manager responsible for that committee yesterday. I think it's the matter that I still need to discuss.
And Tatetao, please continue.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'm saying on the issue of the local government amendment bill, it is. I discussed the matter with the unit manager last night, raising the concern from House Chairperson Frolick that the bill is not moving, but it looks like the problem is not with the committee, it is with the department. And I still need to discuss the matter with House Chairperson Mr. Frolick so that the matter can be taken up outside this forum. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Okay. That bill is with the portfolio committee, is it?
Correct, this PC on COCTA.
The bill is formally before the portfolio committee.
That's correct, Madam Speaker.
Honorable members, there is no DG who has any power to put a bill before Parliament or to withdraw a bill before Parliament. Once the bill has arrived in Parliament, it becomes Parliament's business. That bill is referred to the committee. It is that committee that has control on that bill. The minister, the departments, the legally, they are there to help this committee to deal with the bill and to take it to whichever direction they wish. Parliament must know its powers and exercise their powers. It is that committee that will say, we reject this bill, we are amending this bill here, we are amending this bill clause by clause. That is the business of Parliament. So for me, the whole issue must be that that committee must deal with the bill. If they wish to reject the bill, they should have said to us, we're rejecting this bill because this. That chairperson must then write a letter to the speaker and say, this is how we're dealing with this bill. If they have issues, they must come to me. But also on the issue of petitions, some members smuggle in petitions. I'm using the word smuggle in the sense that then the whole institution is not even aware that a petition has come out. That is where maybe political footballing can start. When Parliament gets a petition, we follow a certain system. It might not be perfect like Ndate Kaso says, that's why we are re-looking at it. But most of the time, those petitions which arrive and are not channeled properly through the Parliament, those are the ones that we have problems. Because once it comes, even before we channel it to a portfolio committee, we will check. We will write, Mayor, why haven't you dealt with this matter? Mayor, are you aware of this thing? Mayor, this is a complaint. Deal with this. Structure so and so, deal with this. So even with the little space that we have tried to do things right. It is those petitions that we do not even know about, that do not come formally in, that you might find that. But we will hurry up Ndate Kaso with those recommendations so that we can clear the space once and for all. Ndate Lechisa, your hand is up again. Ndate Lechisa? This hand just goes up automatically. Lechisa, where are you?
No, I didn't, what's the word, drop it when I should have done so. My apologies.
Yeah,
thank you very much.
When the young people tell us we forget, we fight. Ne?
But thank you very much for recognizing me.
I see the hand persisting, Kitlaring. Okay, honorable members, can we step off section committee section? We then go to Ntate Bell. Are you ready?
Yes,
You have
I
the
am
floor.
ready, Madam Speaker.
You have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. In my report on bills on page 3, I've indicated that the Employment Equity Amendment Bill has been certified by the Office of the Chief State Law Advisor and submitted to the Bills Office for introduction. It was mentioned a few weeks ago that Cabinet approved this bill in March, and it primarily seeks to empower the Minister to determine targets to ensure equitable representation of suitably qualified people from designated groups. It also aims to do away with the requirement for psychological testing and similar assessments. Madam Speaker, on the issue of gender-based violence, in the list of legislation that Cabinet approved and that will at some point or other come to Parliament, there are at least 11 bills directly or indirectly impacting on gender-based violence, primarily from justice, police, and social development. And it includes bills such as domestic violence, criminal law, sexual offences, Social Security Agency, children, substance abuse, and firearms control. Now, Cabinet will now conduct, or not Cabinet, the Executive will conduct its own processes before the bill can be certified by the State Law Advisors, and then it will come to Parliament with a view to introduction. Thank you.
Thank you. The floor is open, honorable members.
Memente.
Memente, you have the floor.
Okay. Thank you, Speaker. Mr. Bell, you know, sometimes I don't know whether I'm over-imagining the issue of GBV and the lack thereof of Parliament or lack of appetite of Parliament in dealing with this matter. Can you please explain on the bills, in particular the ones from Justice that talks to Criminal Procedure Act and sexual offences? What do they seek to achieve? Because we might sit here with an understanding that we have a bill that's going to deal with the issues which are problematic in exacerbating the issues of gender-based violence, in a sense that there is no law that prevents courts from issuing bail of perpetrators who have committed crimes of domestic violence, assault of children and women, even rape, and for that matter, even murder. People get bail. On this week alone, Madam Speaker, 3 perpetrators who have committed horrendous crimes against children have been released. 3 of them against children, they have been released. And in our country, the law is just sympathetic like that. So that's why I want to understand from him, these bills that he is referring to, which are awaiting certification by the legal experts in terms of the executive, what are they and what do they seek to achieve? If then they are not seeking to achieve what we are looking for in us acting against gender-based violence, especially in the area where we can control it, because we are legislators. So we have to control it on the arm of the justice sector, where if they are apprehended, they must be kept away from the victims. Then we deal with the victims and their safety. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, ma'am. Ntate Bell, I'm not sure you are going to be able to respond to this, because I think the right process would be that Ntate Bell are satisfied that the bills before have gone through the hoops, they are certified, they come to us, we put them in the committees. In the committees, you then do all these things that you are saying. But Ndate Bell, where he is, cannot deal with these issues. Ndate Bell, do you wish to explain your reach on these bills?
Madam Speaker, it's Natasha. Could I come in quickly before Mr. Bell answers?
Yes, please.
Thank you. Sorry, Speaker, I don't have a raise a hand function, so please don't think I'm being rude, and I apologize to you
earlier
all.
On that you are in a bit of a.
I'm really sorry for being rude. Madam Speaker, I agree with you with the reach that Mr. Bell has. And I mean, Mr. Bell obviously operates on information that he gets from the necessary departments. So I agree that it's not his he does as much as he possibly can, but I mean, his reach goes so far. What I think would help tremendously, Madam Speaker, is if you request from Cabinet at their next Cabinet meeting to provide you as the Speaker of Parliament with all legislation that is in existence and intends to be introduced to the House, that you can then bring to the Programming Committee and present to us in one full document. This is the legislation, this is what is intended to be introduced, and this is the timeline. And that way we as members of Parliament and as Programming Committee will have a set of documents that are to be presented, that are in the process of being formulated, and that are in front of the committee. And that way we'll be able to keep a very firm grasp and a very firm timeline on those particular documents. And then maybe Mr. Bell can even allocate someone in his office that deals specifically with gender-based violence, and then on a weekly basis we can get an update, so we can have a bills update and then we can have a special GBV update, just to keep us in the loop of that. That's just a suggestion I'd like to make.
Okay. Ndate Xaso?
Madam Speaker, there is a list that was submitted by the Office of the LOGB, and we'll make sure that it gets to the members if it didn't, if it was not sent to the members. But what the list does not do, it does not indicate the detail of each bill. It's just the name of the bill and when it is supposed to be introduced. That we certainly will make available to the members. I thought it had been sent, but we'll make sure that it is sent to the honourable members. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Member Jackie? And
thank you, for the Speaker. To the concern that has been raised by Memende, I think what it sounds like is as if maybe we need some kind of a consultative process, to probably maybe have public hearings to hear what people want, and then maybe look at the legislation that will have to come before us in order to address what will have been consulted on, what the country thinks we can actually do to eradicate gender-based violence. Because quite evidently for now, the legislation is coming in drips and drabs, but the concern would be, is it really going to manage to deal finally with the scourge of gender-based violence, the killing of especially young women and femicide? Thanks, Honourable Speaker.
Thank you. In other words, you say we must consult before we think of a bill, and consult, do public hearings before for the type of law we want to see, and then do another, because as we write the law, we also must consult in the form of public hearings and so on and getting submissions. Do I hear you correctly?
Yes, Honourable Speaker, because for now, what we do for what we think is what is just accurate in terms of what requires legislation around it. Then legislation in the form of a bill is put together and then we consult on that legislation. But for now, we have this crisis in the country of gender-based violence. And it isn't like clear as to what needs to be done in order for us to actually sit back and say, now we've got it together. Moving forward, if we come up with legislation of this nature, it will actually help us to eradicate gender-based violence. So maybe, like for example, with the Section 25 amendment, we're consulting to hear what the people are saying, and then we will come back home and do our work. Maybe even with GBV, we need to go and consult, hear what the country is saying, and you hear all sorts of things also, and also help the people to understand what is possible to be done, what is not possible to be done. You see this thing about chemical castration. Yes, and then there's the voice that says no bail, but we are within the democracy. We understand that it may actually also become difficult, but we need to engage on these issues and get information on other matters that may be raised, that may actually guide legislation development process.
Okay. Members have got 3 hands. It is, I think, Ntate Papo, Ntate Lichisa, and Bill. In that order, please.
Speaker, I just find it surprising that we are saying we're going to consult. We just held a very, very major summit, which led to the National Strategic Plan on GBV. Some of the issues there are about laws, areas of amendments, which led to the Justice Committee, Ministry, coming up with those amendments. They come directly from the summit and are guided by the National Strategic Plan on GBV. Now we're saying, and the South Africans said, we've been talking and talking and talking. The summit came, it made proposals. These are now being followed up. I am a bit confused when we say we're going to go back and consult on GBV issues, because the summit also talked about areas of amendments. You just said that when the bills come, they are referred. The committees will check on the NSP, they check on the issues, and then say, but there are weaknesses here. I'm a bit confused. Are we saying that summit and the NSP is not important? We must restart the process again because we are talking about laws? Because I thought the summit also dealt with these issues around areas of tightening up. It may actually create an impression that we just like to talk and we don't want to act.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Lichisa?
Well, thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I agree with Honorable Papo. In addition to the national strategy, at the end of April, an emergency response plan was produced, which identifies, amongst others, legislation and things to do about it. Mr. Bells just gave us a list, and he is saying to us, there's a bringing the bills to us for certification so that we can process it. And in doing that, as is natural, we will consult. So that work is in progress, is on our way. We may quarrel with perhaps the delay of it moving too slow at the pace of a village cow. But it's on its way.
You are insulting cows.
They're just slower, Madam Speaker. But I agree that no. There's no need for us now to go back to consult at this stage because the legislation is coming. We are going to consult when it is processed. There will be hearings, the usual hearings and so on, because and also legislation is only one part of an overall response to prevent violence in our society. So we should, on the other hand, be increasing the number of things we identify that will make the biggest impact on stopping, preventing violence, instead of reacting to the cause of what it would have led to and so on. But I think, yes, let's await this process. If we can accelerate it, let's request that those bills come before, those 10 bills that once trained up from a technical point of view, they land on the committees. The committees will do the consultation at that time to achieve what Honorable Chane is talking about. But otherwise, that's how I think we are already on track, perhaps slightly slower, but we are on track with those pieces of legislation that will add to those that exist and their implementation is going to be what makes the difference, including their interrelatedness and links with other initiatives that are critical, like abuse of alcohol and drugs, and so on and so on. Yeah. Thanks, Madam Speaker.
Thanks. The Honorable Bill, I've got NB.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you, Madam Speaker. I just thought I would come in here and say that the list that was presented to you for submission to the programming committee indicated 37 bills that Cabinet agreed on. Now, initially, I may have misread that message in the sense that I assumed that the bills were already individually were already passed by Cabinet. But on reflection, I saw that it's actually the list of bills that was adopted by Cabinet. So it may be that some of those bills must still be formally approved by Cabinet before it can go any further. And the proof of that will be that once Cabinet has approved a draft bill, it will come to Parliament and specifically to the presiding officers in accordance with Joint Rule 159. And the draft bills will then be referred to the portfolio and the select committees at the same time, with a very specific purpose, is to become informed of the content, to develop a position, and for the committees to work out a program. So once the bills are approved by Cabinet and they come to Parliament informally, we will have a better idea. Thank you.
Okay. Ntate Frolik?
Honourable Speaker, I've been covered by the Deputy Speaker. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I think all my hands are done.
Speaker, can I come in, Koornoff?
Ntate Koornoff?
Can I make a suggestion that the legislative program of the executive has been submitted to Parliament? And in that document that you're going to circulate is two dates. The one is a date submission to Cabinet, and the one is a date of introduction to Parliament. And more importantly, on that list, there are clearly indicated bills related to gender-based violence. And when we receive those bills, it should be referred to the various portfolio committee. Secondly, at the moment, in the document that Mr. Bell has just submitted or produced to this committee, there are currently bills before Parliament. Some of those bills are gender-based violence related before the committees. So it's two sets of bills. So one to be introduced to Parliament, and secondly, bills currently before portfolio committees in Parliament. And I think the best that the programming committee can do is to make sure that as soon as we receive the bills, it's processed duly by the committees so that we can fast track it, prioritize it, or whatever we need to do. Thank you.
Thank you. I take it that we can step off from this. You agree? We step off, we get
agreed, Speaker, agreed.
The consideration of the draft program. Member Jackie, you are on. Member Jackie.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. We are this week on week 22, and today, Wednesday, the 16th. There are committees that are running concurrently now, and at 10 o'clock there will be caucus by political parties. And tomorrow, Friday the 17th, we will have committees. And the week that follows is week number 23. Monday the 20th will be constituency day. Tuesday the 21st will be the beginning of mini plenaries until Friday, the 24th. There is a list of the mini plenaries that is available for the votes as to what time each of the votes is actually sitting. And then Wednesday, the 10th, Wednesday, the 22nd of July at 10 o'clock, we'll have Chief Whip's Forum. Thursday, the 23rd of July at 8:30, we will have Programming Committee that is to be followed by a caucus up to 13 hours. And the week that follows is week of week 24. Monday, the 27th of July is Constituency Day. Tuesday, the 28th of July will be committees. Wednesday, the 29th of July, we'll have plenary that begins at 10 o'clock. The final leg of our money bill, consideration of the report on the Standing Committee on Appropriations, on Adjustment Appropriation Bill, the first reading thereof, and the second reading thereof, and consideration of the vote and schedule. Thursday, the 30th of July, 8:30, we'll have Programming Committee meeting. At 10 o'clock, we'll have Multi-Party Women's Caucus. At 14 hours, we'll have plenary, and the main business of the day will be questions to the Deputy President. Friday, the 31st of July, will be committees and oversight. The constituency period stretches from the 3rd to the 17th of August. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much, ma'am. The floor is open. Ndate Kaso, your hand is up.
Madam Speaker, I think we need to say a little more on the matter of mini plenaries for next week.
Okay.
And we wanted to, I do not know whether Honorable Frolick would want to go first on this matter, and then we can add. I want to check with Mr. Frolick through you, Madam Speaker.
Okay, Ndate Frolick, do you want to come in first?
Yes, no, thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Just briefly, Madam Speaker, we tabled the proposals and also the what we arrived at in taking these mini plenaries forward yesterday in the Chief Whip's Forum. This is based on the previous two NAPCs that we've had, and there was broad agreement with it. The only question that basically arose was about the question and answer session in the House and to increase the time there. And I think Mr. Caswell will speak to that. I just want to repeat, Honourable Speaker, that when we get to the mini plenaries, we're not dealing with the main appropriation bill that the House already adopted. We're dealing with the adjustments that the Minister of Finance has tabled 2 weeks ago in the House, and it will really assist proceedings in the mini plenaries if the Chief Whips of political parties can remind their members that the focus of the mini plenaries and the question and answer session in the House will be the adjustments. The mini plenaries, the guidelines have been distributed to all the Chief Whips, so they are aware of what is going to take place. But I want to emphasize that the issue of translation is important, and if a member is going to speak in another language, they must timeously inform the NA table so that the appropriate arrangements can be made. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much. That being said, I now take hands. I see that Singh's hand is up.
Thank you very much,
Madam
Honourable Speaker.
Speaker.
Thank you, John. Oh, okay.
There's a voice that calls, but I can't see the name.
Julius, Madam Speaker.
Okay, you will come after Ndate Singh. Ndate Singh, you're on the floor.
Yes, thank you, Honourable Speaker. And thank you to Mr. Frolick and his team for considering the additional time for votes and schedules, but I'd just like to know what that is. I suppose Mr. Kasa will tell us the new breakdown of the minutes, and also if we can get that document which was presented to us yesterday but in its revised form today, hopefully before we start our caucuses, so we can discuss it in our caucuses. Thank you.
And Tate Julius?
Thank you and good morning, Madam Speaker. Colleagues. I just want to inquire the third term program. When we have our joint program.
Tate Julius, maybe if you mute your camera, your audio will be better. Yes?
Can you hear me better?
Let's try.
Can you hear me now, Madam?
Yes, yes.
Yes, good morning. No, I just wanted to inquire when will we have a joint programming committee meeting to iron out issues of third term program. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Oh, thank you very much. Is there any other member? Dr. Kaso?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'm going to ask the host to just display the document again on mini plenaries. Yes. So the first part that will not be affected. The second part on B, Madam Speaker, there was a suggestion at the Chief Whips Forum. No, don't go down. Yeah, at the Chief Whips Forum in terms of the slots for mini plenaries, that maybe we need to increase the break between the afternoon slots, and therefore we want to put to the meeting that the afternoon slots, the last one, which was supposed to start at 4 o'clock, that it starts at 4:15, so that we can have more time between the two slots. That's the first thing, Madam Speaker. And the next one is on allocation for the question and answer session. Could go down the document, please. Yes. We previously, as indicated in the document itself, the question and answer session was done in 98 minutes. We are proposing, after the inputs by the Chief Whips Forum yesterday, that we change 54 minutes or increase 54 minutes to 76 minutes. But I do need to state to honorable members that the only parties that will, where the change will be more considerable, will be in respect of the ANC and to some extent the DA. So 76 minutes will go as follows. The ANC will have 26 minutes, the DA 9 minutes, the EFF 6 minutes, the IFP stays at 4 minutes, FF plus is 4 minutes, and the other parties it's 3 minutes each. So we're taking the 76 minutes, and that will be the allocation. Now, just to give the context, the 98 minutes allocation, which was used previously, would still keep the IFP and the FF plus at 4 minutes. And of course, the EFF would have been 8 minutes, DA 15 and ANC 40. This time excludes ministerial responses. And the approach last year and the year before was that a minister would have 2 minutes to respond to questions directed to respond to a question directed to the vote. And we take it that remains. Madam Speaker, that is my input on the issue of mini plenaries. My next input would be that these mini plenaries for next week will have an impact on the meetings of the Chief Whips Forum, which generally takes place at 10 o'clock. And I think the party caucuses will not be affected because that time has been set aside in the afternoon. Yeah, those are the two issues I wanted to say. Thanks.
Thank you. Dr. Singh, you have your hand up.
Yes, thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I want to tongue-in-cheek withdraw my proposal yesterday of additional time because it doesn't benefit us, the parties, which have 17 votes, 4 minutes for 17 votes. I think we must go back to the 54 minutes because it doesn't help us. We can't ask questions on 17 votes in 4 minutes. So, but if time is the problem, then let's just go back to 54, and that's what I'm formally proposing before the programming committee today. Thank you.
And that is saying, Mema Jodino? Mema Jodino.
Thank you very much.
Are you laughing at the formal withdrawal of that is saying?
No, thank you very much, Speaker. Let's welcome this presentation from Honorable Frolick and support that report from Honorable Frolick as well as from Mr. Tasso. I support 54 minutes as well. Mr. Sim, it does not help. I fully agree, Chair, and support this. When it comes to Chief Whip's Forum, I think Chief Whip's Forum is very flexible. We can put our meeting on hold to accommodate mini plenaries because we also want to be part of those mini plenaries. So with us, we are very flexible as Chief Whip's Forum, and so far we don't have a lot of issues that are outstanding. We deal precisely with our issues, so we can waive our meeting to accommodate mini plenaries. We are very flexible. But also we can even ask political parties, if we so wish, that to check if they cannot consider their caucus time because we need more time for those. Especially with load shedding that is affecting the entire country. So at times we have to be flexible and to be accommodative of parliamentary work, not sacrificing, of course, the party work. Thank you.
Thank you. That is Singh, I still see your hand. You want to come back? Okay. And Ndate Frolick and yes, Ndate Frolick?
No, Honorable Speaker, can we just request that the different mini plenaries now become part of the program for the week so that it populates that week and so that members and chief whips know exactly which mini plenaries will slot in where.
Are we agreed on that, members?
We agree.
Are we agreed, Endley?
Agreed.
Yes,
We are
yes,
agreed.
agreed.
Okay.
Memazoni? It's men.
Yes, ma'am.
Yep. No, andicela uxhaso aphinde where there was an extension of time or moving of times to later. Which mini plenary is that? Because our caucus is going to sit now before he can circulate anything that's been changed.
Yes, Ndate Tasso, you got it?
Yes, indeed, ma'am. I did.
Can you put it back up?
Yes.
The mini plenaries.
No, the mini plenaries document, please.
The changes of time, yes.
The slot, there are 3 slots, Madam Speaker and honorable members, on any single day. So you have the slot that starts at 10 in the morning. That slot is not affected. You have the other slot that starts at 1400 hours. That slot is not affected. The initial proposal was that the last slot would start at 1600 hours. We are proposing that instead of 1600 hours, instead of 4 p.m., that session should now start at 4:15 to allow time between the adjournment of the preceding one to the last EPC. That is what we are proposing. So it will be 4 o'clock to 6 p.m. That will be the change in respect of the last slot.
Agreed to.
Yes.
Memento, are you satisfied?
Yeah, but Mama agreed. No problem.
Thank you.
Honorable Speaker, just the last thing on my side. There was a report earlier, it affects the program, ma'am. A report earlier on that the matter of the IP will be finalized by the committee. just in the event that the NAPC is not able to meet next week, given that the Chief Whips Forum will not be meeting, may we then get the understanding that the issue of salaries of Chapter 9 institutions will be placed on the plenary of the 29th of July, and so is the IPID matter and any other urgent business that will be finalized by committees before the 29th of July. We just wanted to get an in principle directive from this committee. Thank you.
I see the Chief Whip of the majority nodding. What are the other parties saying? Agreed? Agreed.
Agreed. Agreed, thanks.
Thank you very much. Is there any other matter on this draft parliamentary program that we wish to discuss, members, or are we agreed on it? We are agreed. Okay. Any announcement? Honorable Chief Whip? Member Jordina, you've muted yourself.
Thank you very much. My apologies that I've connected late. Honorable Deputy Chief is bereaved. 2 weeks ago, she was burying her cousin. This morning, the other cousin, the sister to the one who passed on 2 weeks ago, was involved in a car accident and passed on the scene. So that is why she's not part of this meeting.
We accept that apology belatedly. The bereavement, the double bereavement in the Deputy Chief Whip. Member Jackie, I thought you had an announcement to make earlier on the passing of a member.
Member
Jackie. Unmute. Unmute. Chief Whip?
Yes. Yes, Speaker.
Earlier on, before the meeting started formally, Member Jackie indicated that we had lost a member of parliament, and I thought she'd like to tell us.
As far as I know, it's a Gauteng MP, and I'm not aware of any member of parliament. Those news have not come to me.
Yeah.
Madam Speaker.
Yes, sir.
Madam Speaker, there's an ex-member of parliament, former chairperson of the Minerals and Energy Portfolio Committee, Comrade Fred Gona, who passed away. He's in Cape Town. I don't have the details of his funerals and so on, but he passed away as well. I just thought I should mention it here.
Okay. Okay, we might as well then send our condolences also to the Gauteng legislature. The passing of a member who is brutally killed by somebody who gets into the house is not something that we can also not say we are ashamed and sorry about. Honorable members, I do not have any announcements, and therefore, yes, sir.
Because I didn't get the name of the member in the Gauteng legislation.
Mapiti Matena. Honorable members, I then close the meeting at this stage. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Speaker. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Speaker. Good day.
What are you saying? Hey,
you are mixing rural towns and urban towns.
No, it's the urban bias of Hlengi. She's urban bias.
Manelani. Ndiyayibona inomkhuba lento yeka SPCA. Lichesa insults cows now and then, and the SPCA says nothing about it.
when you are attending court, speak about animals.
This man must be careful.
No, but part of the reason I'm so concerned, in my constituency, I'll send the 3 of you my latest newsletter. We have retrieved the cows that were stolen. They've been found.
Oh, no, that is a good thing.
Yeah,
because
stock theft is big. Yeah.
One of the things that probably got me into trouble, Lichisako Northwest, was that we considered a class action on behalf of black farmers and the rural communities whose cows were just disappearing. That one Galabantu. And then we found out it is the Tegiswapi.
Yes.
And then the skills are sent to Botswana. So, sometimes. But if you have retrieved those cows, it's actually a good thing.
Yeah. No, we'll show you pictures of that.
I don't agree that animals have got equal status with human beings.